We know what it takes to overcome a deficit like that. It wasn't time to be down, time to figure it out.
Back to Horford for the lead. The Celtics have stormed ahead. The Celtics take game one.
This series is far from over.
It's about winning 4 games by any means necessary.
We got to be ready for them to respond.
This series is just getting started.
Back in the Bay, and the Warriors facing an 0-1 hole heading into game 2 of the NBA Finals. Steph and the Dubs called this a come-to-Jesus moment, but it was the Celtics who resurrected in the fourth quarter, proving they could strike at any moment and hoping to take a commanding 2-0 lead and bring it back with them to Boston. And Jayson Tatum busting out the Kobe and MJ gear again. Oh man, we are in for a treat. And speaking of, Christine arriving in style with her pregame meal delivered with DoorDash. Oh, it must smell real good.
Thanks for letting me know you were ordering.
Sorry, had to eat it real quick, just scarfed it down.
And welcome into Hoop Streams presented by DoorDash. I'm Cassidy Hubbarth, alongside the host of the Hoop Collective, with shows before and after every NBA Finals.
I was hoping you wouldn't say that. I could get away with not doing it after, but I guess I will.
Sorry. I mean, but you're, loyal listeners.
Thank you.
Which
okay,
I am. Depend on it. Brian Windhorst, everyone. And of course, the very lovely Christine Williamson, who I have to mention, in the off days, she got locked up. And we'll explain that.
Yes, I did.
A little bit
I'd like to hear
more.
about that myself.
Monica McNutt will be joining us in a little bit. But guys, look, we've had 2 days to kind of digest what happened in game 1. Brian, what's your overall feeling heading into game 2?
The Warriors are absolutely correct, which is what they said in the last couple of days, that the Celtics had a historic finish to that game. And that is not something that you would expect for them to do again and again. Having said that, the reason the Celtics won this game in large part is that the Warriors did not respect all 5 Celtics players on the court. And they're going to have to change that starting tonight if they're going to make this comeback, because they better win this one.
Derrick White, Al Horford.
I think typically, I honestly went into this game, the game 1, thinking the Warriors were going to win, just like everybody else. I honestly was so shook by the fact that Boston was able to, like you said, have such a historic game.
I'm the Warriors.
Curious, yeah, exactly. I'm curious if the Warriors are going to be able to flip that tonight, because, I mean, I think nobody expected them to do that. And like you said, they can't do it all 7 games, all 4 games, whatever it ends up being. But I'm just curious to see how the Warriors come out tonight.
Look, overreaction is part of
we love it.
What we do and part of what happens after game 1. So what we're going to do is play a little game. We're going to bust out the panic meter. Our producer, Jonathan Luna, is going to hand you guys.
Love props.
Yes. We're going to hand you actual panic meters. He's going to hold mine up because I don't have many hands. So the green, obviously, means all good, even though it says panic. Yellow means proceed with caution, because these are panic meters. You guys can look and understand the colors at the same time. And then, of course, the red is panic. So I'm going to run through some of these storylines of this series. Let's start with the Warriors' game 1 loss being their first loss this postseason. Teams are just 9-8 in the finals after losing game 1. So, Christine, let's start with you. How panicked should Golden State be now that they've lost home court in these finals?
I'm going to say green.
Okay, you're good.
Here's why. 2015, they lost game 1. They've been in this situation before. They've had to overcome a 3-1 deficit, a 2-1 deficit in the playoffs. I think that they're fine. They've been in a situation before where they were able to overcome. I said, I'm curious how they come out tonight. I feel like that obviously will be something huge about this game. But I feel like they don't need to panic right now.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm holding up the red one.
Yep.
Because here's why. The Celtics have not lost 2 games in a row since January, when they've had their whole team. So already you could argue that the Warriors are in some trouble, considering they got to beat them 2 games in a row. If they don't win this game tonight, the Celtics are not losing, short of catastrophic injury. The Celtics are not losing 4 out of 5 to this team.
Okay, actually,
for 3
I
of those
agree with
games
that
at
part.
home.
Yeah, that
so
makes sense.
I would say a must-win game in the finals is red, panic.
I'm going to go with yellow, okay?
Oh, split the difference.
I'm gonna split the difference, proceed with caution. I want to see how these Warriors come out in that first quarter, and if they learn their lesson to take everybody seriously, to your point.
Makes sense.
All right, let's move on.
Very responsible of you.
Thank you. So these playoffs have also been an introduction of a third Splash Brother, your favorite player
Let's
in
not talk
Poole
about
Party.
it,
But Poole was a no-show in game one, scoring 9 points with 4 turnovers with a gross minus 19 in 25 minutes. How panicked should Golden State be about his effectiveness in this series? Brian.
Okay, so they didn't put him in the best position. First off, they put him out there without Steph Curry on the court in that fourth quarter. He can't create space with Andre Iguodala and Draymond Green, who were with him out there, and no Steph. That was not a position for him to be successful in. So they're going to change their lineups tonight. Number one, Gary Payton is going to be playing for Iguodala because Iguodala is out. And number two, I expect them to change the lineups. They're going to put Jordan Poole in a better position to have space. So now I will say this, you can't play him 28 minutes if he's not going to shoot well. But I think he's still going to have something to say, and I think you'll see a better Jordan Poole tonight.
I'm going to go yellow as well. Here's the thing. As you know, Cass, I'm a huge Poole fan. Jordan Poole has less experience than the Celtics do in the playoffs and in the postseason. So I feel like Jordan Poole wasn't really ready to play. Obviously, this is his first ever final series. He's very young. So I feel like they shouldn't freak out at this moment.
I think I'm going with red. I'm saying a little panic. And I mean by panic, like they need, like things got to change because he's not used to this size, physicality of those guards up top. And I just think Jordan specifically, when you're talking about his experience, you mentioned Andre Iguodala. He played 12 minutes. He provided that veteran leadership.
It felt like more.
We haven't, yeah, it did. We have no clue how Gary Payton is going to look. So really,
he's going to play better than Iguodala. That's my analysis.
All I'm saying is this is a red just because there's going to be a spotlight on you, Jordan Poole, because you need to step up. So that's that. Let's move on to the fact that Jordan wasn't the only Warrior who struggled. How about one of the core guys in Draymond Green? And how about another core guy in Klay Thompson, combined for 8 of 26 from the field for 19 points. So how panicked are the Warriors about Klay and Draymond's ability on both ends of the floor, Brian? Wow.
Draymond Green cannot play the way he played again like he did in game one. Number one, he cannot play 38 minutes. And number two, he cannot hurt them at both ends of the court. And I want to be clear, I really appreciate that Draymond goes on his podcast after the game. I think that's great. I appreciate him taking responsibility. I appreciate him talking to the media. Draymond Green's was a big reason why they lost the game. He got eaten alive at the defensive end. He left Al Horford alone. Al Horford was 5 of 6 shooting when he was the direct defender. He was 2 of 12 from the field. And so here's what I expect tonight. I expect, or at least I will be looking for, I should say, Klay Thompson and Draymond Green to have different roles within the game plan. Look for them to guard different players and look for them to have different responsibilities out on the court. I think Steve Kerr realizes he cannot come back into this game with what he was asking those two guys to do in game one and think it's going to go differently. I think it'll change because I think the game plan is going to totally change it for them.
Wow. I got to panic too. Here's the thing, to your point, Wendy, Draymond saying that he doesn't have to play that well and they still could win, that's absolutely wrong. He said that after the game last time. So that's completely wrong. But here's the other thing. Klay Thompson, on the flip side of the Jordan Poole situation, who's never been in this situation before, Klay and Draymond have been in this situation before. So I would expect for them to come out in the same way that Curry did in game one, and they didn't. So I feel like if they're not able to play at this level right now, especially in this series, I feel like it's a huge deal.
I agree with the point. I'm going to go split the difference because I agree with a point that was made on this morning's Hoop Collective podcast about, like, maybe they throw Kevon Looney out just a little bit more. But your point is that they're not. Steve Kerr is going to ride or die with Draymond.
I can't see Steve Kerr letting Draymond defend Al Horford the same way again. And it wouldn't surprise me if Draymond isn't even on Al Horford that much.
Well, so the reason why I'm splitting the difference is because I sort of believe Klay yesterday when he says, I got to go out there and shoot like I'm one of the best shooters that's ever played the game. And I feel like that's going to happen at least at some point in this series. Maybe not tonight, but I think we're going to have a Magic Clay game at some point in this series. So that's why I'm going to go with that. All right, you had an interesting article on ESPN.com, which is our next topic. History is on the line in these finals, okay? Forever rivals, the Celtics and Lakers, currently tied for the most titles in the league history with 17. How panicked are the Lakers now that the Celtics are 3 wins away from passing them in the title race?
So here's the thing. This has been going on for decades.
Oh, yeah.
This is what Jerry Buss wanted when he bought the Lakers, was to pass the Celtics for all-time titles. And it's been an amazing run. Since the year 2000, it's 6 Lakers titles to 1 Celtics title. When they won that title in 2020, they tied them in titles at 17 for the first time since 1963. And this was going to be the year that they added the 18th star to the court, Russell Westbrook. They were going to do it. Oh, no. Oh, no. And let me tell you, I talked to some great, all-time great Lakers and Celtics. I talked to Magic a couple before Game 1. I talked to Cornbread Maxwell, who said a quote so profane I can't even say it on this show. These guys
I feel like
really
you can.
care.
I heard what he said. I feel like you can say that.
Should I say what Cornbread
You
said?
can totally say it.
The internet.
He said, you can tell the Lakers to smell our ass on the way by to 18. So, condition red for the Lakers trying to keep the Celtics.
I'm just going to go with it because there's nothing more to say to that.
We're all red.
We're all red.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to our last and final topic, and that's Jayson Tatum. Tatum, 3 of 17 from the field, scoring 12 points. Boston going to need more from Tatum. Even though he was dishing out the ball, they're going to need a little bit more from him shooting-wise. How panicked are you over Tatum's Game 1 shooting woes, Christine?
They should be panicked for Game 1. I don't think they should be panicked for the rest of the series, though, especially tonight. When you were just talking about the Lakers situation, he's channeling his inner Kobe Bean Bryant. It's Game 2, by the way. We know he's going to show up in Games 2 and 4 for sure. So,
Are you
I got
these
him.
Kobe numerologists? Are you
Listen,
really?
He showed up in the.
I was trying to think back in my mind, like, did
why?
he have good Game 2s? Did he have good Game 4s?
No, listen, I feel like Game 2, he's going to come out.
He's
lights
really
out.
going to have a great game in Game 8. Game 8.
Game 8. It's going to be a good one. But yeah, I think he's going to come out and he's going to see shooting a lot more lights out in this series.
Okay, here's what I challenge everybody to pay attention to with Jayson Tatum going forward. We're not going to look at the point total.
Okay.
We're going to look at the assist total because this statistic means everything to me.
Right.
The Celtics record this season when Jayson Tatum gets 7 or more assists, 17-2, 14 in a row. So it is when Tatum has more than 7 assists, it is indicative that the ball is moving, that the Celtics are making their shots, and Christine made reference to it. He has had several bad shooting games in these playoffs.
You're right.
He has always bounced back. But the key is distribute the ball, get his teammates going. Even if he's not making shots, he can make a major difference.
And it was a finals record, 13 assists, by the way. And I'm not panicking at all.
For a debut.
Thank you. See, there's so much.
I just didn't want anybody.
No.
I didn't want anybody in the mentions. I didn't want anybody in the
That's
mentions.
true. But I'm not panicking either because that is exactly what Ime at the beginning of the season focused on with Jayson Tatum because he understood how this was going to be a collective unit. It's a quote we're going to get into a little bit later about, like, yes, Jayson Tatum is the star, but he has tweaked and broke some bad habits with Jayson Tatum, and one being like only focusing on his shot making and his ability to distribute the ball a little bit more, and that has definitely progressed throughout this season. I will say, though, I was a little panicked after I saw his outfit heading into Game 1. Did you see this? No.
It looks good. Here's honestly the problem is he should have been wearing a dark shirt underneath. That's what threw it off.
That's the problem?
Yes, 100%.
She's not a fashion expert, but I will say,
She's better than me.
Brian, it did give me some Golden Girls vibes.
Oh, no.
It did, it
Thank
looked
you
like
for being a friend.
it just wasn't.
Are you saying that B. Arthur wore that on a date? In
yes,
season 3?
Exactly.
Most likely.
There's too many patterns.
It's the white shirt that's throwing the whole thing off.
No, it's
Christine,
a
with
whole
all
lot.
due respect, you're out of your mind.
But look,
Somebody said if he had any one of those, it would have been a good fit.
Have you, Wendy, you know I'm an avid pattern mixer, right? I'm all about a mixing of the patterns.
Even with that being the case, you know that his phone was on fire.
It was.
And it was not.
It just wasn't even
good
tailored right, in my opinion. But
That's the thing. That threw it off a little bit, too.
I will say, clothing choices that I can get behind is some statements made by both these teams the last 2 days, starting with members of the Celtics who wore T-shirts with "We Are BG" written across them at practice in support of Brittany Griner, who is being wrongfully detained in Russia since February. The shirts also had a QR code on the back linking to an online petition seeking 300,000 signatures in support of the notion of bringing Griner home. You can sign the petition and donate at wearebg.org. The NBA is also using their platform tonight to make a call to end gun violence. Both teams are wearing orange End Gun Violence shirts during their warm-ups. You can see them behind some of the players here, us right now, and the NBA once again using their platform for the greater good, especially on the biggest stage here in the finals, because we are at Game 2, and we were just talking about Jayson Tatum. And look, these Celtics, they've won 8 road wins this postseason, tied for the second most in a single postseason in NBA history, and handing the Warriors their first home loss these playoffs. Here's a look back at exactly how Game 1 unfolded.
They leave Curry all alone, and that's lethal.
Fires and that's another one. 21 points in the first quarter, 6 of 7 beyond the arc. Number 30 is back in the finals.
They're just loading up and playing too slow. Down here, too much freedom for them. Guys, they're just moving around too easy. Limit them to one shot, get out and run.
And is blocked at the rim by Jaylen Brown. A great catch by Looney and a better defensive play by Jaylen Brown.
Hey, we only down 3.
Yeah, we good.
And off of the far sideline, Jordan Poole gets dogged by Marcus Smart, who reaches in, just rips the ball away.
Boston defense showing why they were rated number 1.
Give them credit. They're making shot after shot after shot. But we got to respond right now. Bucket in a stop, all right? And we play with the more force than they do.
Curry waits, goes behind the back on Brown, underhand scoop, good! He tumbles head over heels for the bucket, and the Warriors are up by 9.
A frenzied and frenetic third quarter.
Limit them to one shot, get out and run. That team shouldn't do that to us. We're the bigger, more physical team.
Jaylen gonna pull up, shoot a 3 right over him and hit it.
Williams caught a body underneath.
And the Celtics have answered with some haymakers of their own. 18 threes for Golden State, 16 for Boston.
Wild comeback here for the Celtics. Back to Horford for the lead. Boston up by 3. Al Horford in his first NBA Finals. Horford feeling it.
He's open for 3. Got it! The Celtics are 12 of 16 in the fourth quarter. Al Horford has been brilliant in Game 1.
Brown on the baseline. Horford inside. Count it and 1.
On the road in the NBA Finals and come from 15 down to score a stunning double-digit historic win in Game number 1.
It's just nothing to panic about. First team to win 4 games, not the first to win 1. So we've always embraced challenges. It's different. We'll embrace this one.
You're watching Hoop Streams presented by DoorDash. Game 2 of the NBA Finals coming up at 8 p.m. on ABC. Steph Curry scored 21 of his 34 points in Game 1 in the first quarter. That's the most points in a single quarter in the finals since Jordan in '93. But then he shot 1 of 6 for threes in the final 3 quarters of Game 1. But the Warriors are 4-0 following the loss this postseason and outscored teams by over 14 points per game. So what will they have in store for Game 2? And talk about that just a little bit. We are joined by the GOAT, the legend,
the GOAT,
Doris Burke.
Yeah, it means I'm old, you two.
No,
Y'all think that's
absolutely. Don't you talk about my friend like that. And then, of course, Monica McNutt. You can obviously hear these wonderful ladies on ESPN Radio. Monica on the sidelines, and, of course, Doris on the call with Mark Keshisher. Guys, so, you know, throughout this whole finals experience, you guys have an opportunity to sit down with the coaches, sit down with some players, and you recently sat down with Draymond Green and Jaylen Brown. And Monica, what stood out to you about those conversations?
Well, I thought Draymond was true to Draymond fashion, just very candid. I thought something that he said was very interesting was when he talked about the demeanor that is now required to win a championship. So much has been made of the inexperience of the Celtics, but I don't know if people are giving credence to the inexperience amongst the Warriors outside of Draymond, Clay, Steph, and Andre Iguodala. I think that's what we saw. And so while he knows that there are things this team is going to have to address both defensively and offensively, he mentioned demeanor in terms of setting the tone for the rest of those guys. Like, welcome to the finals, and we're okay. It's not time to panic, per se. It's just time to adjust and lock in.
I feel like they've earned the right to speak with some calmness because of the number of championships and trips to the finals. What struck me, Cassidy, about the Boston Celtics was the complete lack of reaction after a win in Game 1 on the road. Nobody was overreacting. They weren't raising the roof.
Stoic.
They walked off the floor. They're having conversations with assistant coaches. It was almost as if their mind had gone to Game 2 already. Very businesslike.
Taking on the personality
of
their first-year head coach.
Absolutely.
And I like to say first-year head coach because he's not, in my mind, he's not a rookie head coach because he's been at the finals before. He's sat next to one of the greatest coaches who has ever coached the game in Greg Popovich in these finals experience. So they're really adopting he's really adopting Ime's stoic persona. So talking about the experience, Jordan Poole is someone who doesn't have this finals experience, playoff experience. Doris, what can he do to be more effective in this series, and can he do anything to be more effective?
Let's begin with trying a little bit harder on the defensive end of the floor because there were too many times where he was not prepared for a level of physicality. I think team-wide you're going to see a different level of physicality. He's got to provide the boost offensively, Cassidy, because if he doesn't, he's not playable. And Monica, I don't expect him or Draymond Green to go 2 for 7 and 2 for 12 respectively. But do you think that he can play in this series, Jordan Poole?
It's yet to be seen, DB. I think, again, talking to Draymond, very candid, while you're not surprised because they understand what it means to be facing a top defense in the league, the length is something that you cannot simulate in practice. And Ime even said it, we legitimately have a roster full of two-way guys. And so there is not a soft, comfy place, as one of my AAU coaches used to say, for Jordan Poole or anybody for that matter, to go and hide on the defensive end because of what the Celtics bring. It is going to take a level of mental toughness, but then it's almost like the Celtics have done to the Warriors what they do to so many people. If you turn your head for a minute, if you miss an assignment for a minute, they're going to make you pay. And that's the version of the Celtics that are coming in and playing offensively.
I think Game 1 was pretty unexpected for many reasons, but I think one of them being the Stars didn't really live up to their stardom. I mean, Jayson Tatum, shooting-wise, of course, we just had the discussion about his assist numbers, but then you have Clay, you have Draymond. As far as the role players making names for themselves on this stage, we've got Derrick White, Al Horford. What's the impact of the role players, and who do you see having the biggest impact overall as this series goes along?
Well, I continue to maintain for the Celtics it was Marcus Smart. And I don't know, I'm hesitant to consider him a role player in the true form, but I felt like he had room on his offensive ceiling to step up in this series, and his defensive pedigree is well established, so I had no questions about that. And I think we saw that late in Game 1.
For me, it's Al Horford. Cassidy, they've gone away from the way they won in the regular season. They won in the regular season and became the most dominant force defensively, playing two bigs. In the playoffs, as is typical in the NBA, they went away from that. Al Horford has been the best, most consistent big man. Do you know what they are when he alone is on the floor? 523 minutes, plus 130, folks. That's pretty darn good.
We just did a panic meter. Do you have any panic about Draymond Green?
First of all, I'm feeling left out of not having any props.
Give me a panic meter. She wants a prop. But do you have any panic about Draymond Green and maybe needing to play Kevon Looney a little bit more against Horford?
You have a decision to make, because if Jordan Poole is not playable, Cassidy, then your fifth best player is Kevon Looney, and so do you have to play him? Here's the key. There's thinking that Gary Payton is going to play.
Yeah.
How effective is he? And then is Moody an option?
Yeah.
Kuminga an option?
Kuminga would be the option that now, he's young, but so are so many of these guys. But in terms of the athleticism, Kuminga is someone that I'm circling.
Yeah.
Quickly, your pick for Game 2.
Guys, I said this during the Eastern Conference Finals, or no, but while the Bucks were in the Boston was in the series with the Milwaukee Bucks, and I said, why do we keep doing this to the Celtics defense? I'm not going to do it. I think Celtics go home up 2.
Wow.
Nostradamus is always wrong, but I'm picking the
Never
Celtics.
wrong. Wow, both of you guys. are picking the Celtics to go back to Boston with a 2-0 lead. You're staying with us.
I'm out.
You're going to go get prepped.
Now I'm
for your
jealous
call on
that I'm out.
ESPN Radio.
Christine's standing over there. You got Windy over there.
Thank you so much, DB. Look, we've spent 6 days here, so we've had some time to get into some trouble, including Christine, who
oh God.
went to jail?
Troublemaker.
What?
The Celtics take game 1 of the 2022 NBA Finals and hand the Golden State Warriors their first home loss of the postseason.
We saw the Celtics lock up the Warriors in game 1 in the Chase Center. So, in the spirit of being prisoners of the moment, we decided to visit the infamous Alcatraz.
How do you feel?
I feel amazing.
I'm upset because the Warriors lost.
I hate Boston.
Celtics in 4, baby.
Celtics in 4.
I'm William G. Baker, former prisoner from Alcatraz, number 1259. I am a Warrior fan, and I'm very disappointed.
Are the Warriors done?
No.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, Curry's a little overrated, but
Boy, if you don't get... So you're saying the Celtics are going to lock up the Warriors?
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
Below a 12-point lead going into the fourth quarter.
Do we feel like the Celtics are sending the Warriors to jail?
I don't think they're going to jail just yet. I feel like it's more like a wake-up call.
Do you feel like the Warriors got locked up last night?
I think the Warriors will redeem themselves Sunday.
Jayson Tatum didn't play well, and we won by 20, and that's all I'm going to say.
Why do you hate Boston so much?
You know, it's too cold up there. Weather's not very nice. The people aren't great.
Are you guys going to try to go to any games?
If I wasn't broke, that would be perfect.
I'd say my team is probably North Carolina, which has nothing to do with this.
I'm confused, but it's fine.
Oh, yeah, I am too.
Who you got for MVP?
Klay Thompson.
Tatum. I mean, they always go with the superstar.
Curry.
You know, I'm going to say an oddball that may surprise you. Al Horford.
Celtics in how many?
In 5.
Probably 6.
I bet you a bowl of clam chowder.
That's not money.
To me, it is.
This just means Warriors win in 5.
How?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So Warriors in 7.
Warriors in 7. You better believe it. You better believe it, folks.
That was too good.
That's
Shout
great.
out Joe Joya on that edit there. That was
Way to go.
so good. Christine, a star, of course. You know, there's no better barometer of prisoners of the moment than the internet. So let's see what the internet said after game 1. Did you see this tweet? Said this is our new segment. You like our fancy graphic, Ryan?
What the internet says.
What the internet says. The internet. The Warriors. This was a tweet earlier. It said the Warriors lost this game because they left Oracle Arena. The wine and cheese crowd of the Chase Center doesn't have the same energy. You guys were both in the building. Are we really blaming the arena, the home crowd vibe?
This is not a wine and cheese crowd. This is a caviar and a gallon crowd.
Right. This is very fancy
wine and
in here.
cheese is an insult.
I know. I love cheese.
I think there's some credence to that, personally. I mean, I think it got really quiet in the fourth quarter. Like, there was no fight from the team or the fans.
Well, they were shocked. The fans were shocked. The team was shocked. Are people saying that it's not Oracle Arena? Yes, it's not Oracle Arena, but it's also a $175 million payroll. Do you want your little old arena that was loud, or do you want the largest payroll in the history of the NBA? Because you can't have both. And so they have a bunch of money. They'll probably make $15 to $20 million tonight. And if it's not quite as loud, they get to have Andrew Wiggins. That's the trick.
So you already did the math. The math is mathing. Okay.
Is it?
Let's move on. Who they don't have is Kevin Durant, and NBA memes. They love to tweet about Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant loves to tweet.
That's true.
And they put out this one. Y'all think if the Warriors had KD, they would have lost? With, obviously.
Listen, this is hilarious. This is, as our brethren on NBA Today, Richard Jefferson and Kendrick Perkins says, staying petty so you don't have to get petty.
Yes.
That's hilarious. I don't know. That's a good question, though, because we saw what the Celtics did to KD, so there's that.
I just want to present a fact. I'm not making a comment in this case. I'm just saying a fact. The Warriors are 1-8 in their last 9 finals games without KD.
Okay.
Just gonna let that.
I'm just gonna
There's
say
that.
I'm just gonna let that
There's
sit
that.
there.
Simmer, let it simmer.
I'm sure it's gonna get back to KD because that's all he's been doing right now. It's just sitting on his phone tweeting, and I'm not mad at it. Like, we asked for this type of, feedback from players, and he's let's just say, he's not scared to give his opinion.
Good, I'm glad.
You know who's also not scared to give their opinion? Al Horford's sister, Anna Horford.
Shout out to Anna.
She tweeted this: Al wants that MFing ring. He sure does.
What does MFing stand for, Cass?
There was, you don't need to, I mean, we're the internet, but we will still get fined, and I am not here to get fined. And then there was this comparison of, the stare down. We've seen this many times. We also saw it last series with Jimmy Butler. Let's put a pause on that. But I will say, Al Horford,
let me just ask you this. Can you recover as a franchise, as an organization, from Al Horford flexing on you? The way he flexed?
Let him live. Let Al Horford live.
He flexed on them.
Well, I mean, if you go back a little further, the Bucks will recover because that feels like a big flex in that series.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, yeah.
He did score team high 26 in his first NBA Finals
Shout out
in his
to Al.
15th season. Old head or not, he came to play.
Yes, he did.
And he also sat down with Malika Andrews about his great game 1. Take a listen.
You all have had quite the turnaround this season. I remember back in December, you guys were up double digits against a depleted Timberwolves team. They came back and you all lost the game. And afterwards, you came to the podium and you said,
At the end of the day, we kind of have to look in the mirror for ourselves, individually and as a team.
And then Jaylen Brown was asked about that.
Searching and looking in the mirror. No comment.
What was it like to learn how to lead and have this turnaround for a team that midway through the season just didn't seem to be in sync at all?
Yeah, the biggest thing for us was finding that identity. We just have to really look in and kind of bring it together. A couple of days later, I think we played Phoenix, the Suns at home, and I felt like that was one of our better games or the start of something. And from then on, I felt like we started to make strides towards, being a better team.
Back to Horford for the lead. Boston up by 3. Al Horford in his first NBA Finals.
You played 141 career playoff games before making it to the NBA Finals, an NBA record. Did it make it that much sweeter?
It has. It has made it sweeter. Also, just more grateful for me to be in this moment. And I feel like, this is kind of like my time, and it's exciting to be a part of it.
Did he steal Jordan Poole's splash brother ability? I mean, 6 3-pointers in game 1, but not to be ignored. He also has 261 contested shots this postseason. That's 60 more than any other player. So he is doing it on both ends. And maybe the front runner for Finals MVP after game 1. I'm just saying.
Wow, prisoner of the moment, are we?
That may be. Cuff me. Cuff me. Now it's time for the greatest of all time, presented by DoorDash. If I would have called Al Horford the greatest of all time, then that would be the
surely put you on Alcatraz and leave you.
Yes. But what we're looking at is the greatest NBA Finals debut of all time. We start with the actual GOAT in MJ. First Finals versus Magic and the Lakers. Posted 36 points, 12 assists, 8 rebounds, 3 steals in his debut. Lost that game.
That's true.
But won the next 4 to grab his first title.
And then they kept winning.
Exactly. And then 95, Shaq. For those that don't remember, young Shaq was an absolute beast. 23 years old, dropped 26 points, 16 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 blocks in his debut, Monica. Just a force.
God, an absolute force, right? Like, this is the beginning of a Hall of Fame career for sure.
And they got swept.
Sorry. Dang, but still,
sorry.
No, Wendy.
Sorry.
You're just all the facts. Stop with the facts. 99, Tim Duncan in his second season, big fundamental, had all the moves on display in his debut. 33 points, 16 rebounds, 2 blocks, led the Spurs to their first ever Finals championship en route to their first of many titles.
Bring that court back.
0-1. You believe this? No question, the greatest Finals debut ever.
This is one of the most memorable games of my life.
I mean, 48 points, 6 assists, 5 boards, 5 steals, plus the iconic Lou step over in the 107-101 win. The 48 points remain a finals debut record.
And they lost the next 4.
Dang, Wendy, shout out to my Warrior brothers.
Debbie Downer. Wow, wow. 2012, Kevin Durant, another Game 1 standout. He tied Jordan for second most points in a debut with 36. He added 8 boards, 4 assists as the Thunder upset the Big 3 of Miami in Game 1. But what happened?
And they lost the next 4.
Golly, Wendy.
That doesn't bode well for Al Horford in the Celtics.
One of these things is not like the other, but give Derrick White his shine. He's not on GOAT level like the other guys, but 21 points and 5 of 8 shooting from 3, including 2 key triples, as the Celtics tied and, then passed the Warriors. Like, guys, we'll give it to you, D. White. I mean, speaking of, though, this is another conversation that you had on your Hoop Collective pod. Make sure to download that anywhere you get podcasts. But look at Derrick White's stats before and after his wife had his son, Hendricks, in these playoffs. I mean, should we have seen this coming?
Well, the Warriors didn't. And I talked to Derrick after the game, and I said, Hendricks only knows a badass.
There it is.
The only Derrick White that Hendricks knows has been kicking everyone's tail.
Yeah. I mean, look, Perk made a great point on the pod where he basically said, like, everything leading up to in the anticipation before the birth, you're waiting, you're looking at the call, you're distracted. Hendricks is here. He was able to kiss his baby on the head, and now he can focus on the finals. And he looks like a brand new guy out there.
Didn't this happen a couple years ago, Cass?
Oh, it sure did. It sure did. Let's check out Fred VanVleet's playoff stats before and having a child who, by the way, did it against the Warriors as well.
Absolutely.
Before child, BC.
4
points, 23% from the field, 18% from 3. AC, after child, 14
Look
points.
at those stats, Monica.
That's a jump. Boy, you talk about a jump. Goodness.
I mean, and then bet on yourself. You got paid.
Absolutely. I mean, I like Perk's logic on it, too, but I also feel like it's a bigger thing. Like, when people become parents, you know what I'm saying, you just want to be a good example for your kid on the basketball court, too. There you go.
I don't know how you explain it. I certainly, in the weeks after I had my son, I wasn't at my highest performance level.
Same. I was putting up multiple carbs, a triple-double, and panic attacks, and 0 sleep. Those are my numbers.
Yeah, where's our panics? Where's our panic ones again? I was in the red.
I was like, you giving me this? I have to take care of this. Does the nurse come with me? Do you feel like Derrick White can continue at this pace?
I think I'll go back to something Wendy pointed out on the show earlier. If Jayson Tatum is assisting, yes, because he's going to get good looks. And I think Derrick White has a very pure jumper. I love Derrick White's shot.
They've had a nice balance of when Derrick White plays well, Grant Williams has had a bad game. And when Grant Williams has had a good game, Derrick White has played well. They've had a really incredible balance. So it wouldn't surprise me, after watching them for the last 5-6 weeks, if Grant Williams shoots the ball well tonight and Derrick White doesn't.
Yeah.
Look, we heard post-game, Draymond Green isn't fazed by Derrick White's shooting, but we all know Draymond likes to say a bunch of stuff. He even has his own podcast after games, so he's part of that new media. Here's a listen to the best of Draymond. Do we have enough time for that?
Oh, my gosh.
NBA years is dog years. Let's go, baby. Come on. Come on. It's time. Come on. Let's get it. Oh, welcome on. Let's go. Come on. Straight out the gate. Let's get it, boy. Welcome back. Get out. Kick out. Hey.
You're watching Hoop Streams presented by DoorDash. Game 2 of the NBA Finals coming up at 8 Eastern on ABC. You're looking at Draymond Green warming up. He shot 2 for 12 in Game 1. That's the worst field goal percentage in a playoff game in his career, in which he took at least 10 shots. Look, the Warriors have never trailed 2-0 in a playoff series under Steve Kerr. Can they make sure they keep that streak alive? Speaking of Draymond, or speaking of Draymond speaking, we're going to get into, with Christine back with us now, another game that we're going to do some interpretation, because we all know there's a lot of player speak, there's a lot of coach speak. sometimes we need to interpret what guys are saying. And I will say, Draymond usually says what's on his mind. But I think this bite needs just a teeny bit of interpretation. Take a listen.
We pretty much dominated the game for the first 41, 42 minutes, so we'll be fine.
I want to interpret the finger pounding there. Okay, that's what he said.
He's lying.
That's what he said. What did he mean?
The first word in that quote was "we." You just read his stat line. We didn't do anything, Draymond. Your team did, but he didn't do anything. That's why he was tapping. That's what, when people are telling lies and they're fidgeting a little bit. That's what that was.
But he didn't even, that's not even true, because I don't know if he remembers, but the halftime score, the Celtics were ahead.
Yeah, after the third quarter.
I mean, if he wants to point out that they didn't get work the whole game, that's true, but they were behind. I mean, I appreciate Draymond. I appreciate everything about Draymond, but sometimes you got to call Draymond on his stuff.
Right. I mean, and this may have been just gamemanship, saying, we've been here before.
Don't even worry about it. We got it.
But they did. But when you me interpreting their faces too in that fourth quarter, not to use the overused phrase of they were shook, but they did not look like they looked surprised. I'll leave it at that. All right, let's look at this time a quote from Ime Udoka. We made this comment how Ime is very stoic, and this is what he said post-game. We look at ourselves as a unit, a complete team. We look at the other teams, Brooklyn with Durant, the Bucks with Antetokounmpo, Miami with Butler. We pride ourselves on being a team that plays together. Brian, that's what he said. What do you think he really meant?
I didn't really understand this, because they've got a star player. They're kind of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I felt that the Bucks played well as a team, and the Heat played well as a team, but whatever it takes to get your guys fired up for the next game. By the way, I have loved covering Ime so much this last 5 weeks. That quote, though, made me scratch my head a little bit.
It was interesting. It was almost like he was throwing a little shade for no reason. Like you said, Brian, it's like, wait, you guys have superstars on your team too. But it was almost like he was like, we're different than those teams. We have more of a team unit than those
We're the
teams.
underdogs.
Right. Like,
we shouldn't
we're not
be
doing what
here.
the other teams are doing.
Well, I think it's to your point about how we discussed, trying to take a little pressure off of the poor shooting performance from Jayson Tatum, and to say, hey, we're not just about Jayson Tatum, loading up, in the box score. We're about, the fact that he was dishing it out and getting other guys involved. I think that's what I was reading into it. So that's my interpretation. Okay, we got a chance to listen into the Celtics huddle during Game 1. Check out this video of Marcus Smart.
This isn't the Heat series. We can't start back. You have to start up, especially if they setting it so high. You start up and drop because we're chasing. Now he goes down into the paint.
All right, Brian, you were there for every single game during that Heat series. What did he mean?
He was talking about how they were backing way up off of Steph, which the fact that wasn't covered ad nauseum in their game plan, which it had to be, right?
Right.
They got out here, and there was lots of yellow, and Steph was hitting shots, and they kind of forgot their game plan.
You don't think that was a plan, as the Celtics have just come on to the
Let's
court
ask
to
them.
boost. Yeah,
Are you guys
they're right behind us.
What exactly did you mean?
Did you guys mean to drop back on two of the greatest shooters of all time?
Yeah, so I just think that they just didn't follow the game plan, because I think they got frozen in the moment.
Right.
And once they started playing better late in the first quarter, Steph wasn't quite the same.
Yeah, just a little reminder. Hey, guys, this is where we are now. This is in the last series.
I think the yellow is a weapon. I've said this for years. The yellow is intimidating. I stand by it.
All right, the last one we need to get to, our former colleague and Celtics legend, Paul Pierce, tweeted this out about our very own Jalen Rose. Jalen Rose looking like an NFT. Christine, as our fashion expert, as the Warriors come out on the court and the fire comes out. What do you think he meant by this?
There's
this
fire.
Man looks like he's worth a lot of money.
He does.
That's what it is.
An R&B.
That's what he looks.
Artist.
Or like a work of art. That's what NFTs are. They're worth a lot of money. Their artwork. That's Jalen Rose.
Now you need to show that photo to Jayson Tatum. That's all I'm going to say.
That's how to dress. And that's a man who's been covering these finals for 20 years, and he's not messing around. That hairline, as we know, is undefeated. I sat next to him in the makeup chair, and it took him longer to do his hair than it did my hair.
Jalen could probably actually make his hairline an NFT if
You're
he wanted
right.
to.
You're so right.
He could totally do that.
That's what he meant. See, Paul's
He's
already there. He's already there. So look, Jalen always fresh. Hoping both these teams are too, with 2 days off between games. I think everyone is ready for this one to get underway. Let's go.
It's the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Chef Curry starting to cook. He's hotter than fish grease.
This team in green and white hangs around.
Oh, so much Steph Curry. Wild comeback here for the Celtics. Horford for the lead. Boston up by 3.
Thing about the Celtics, there's not one guy you can point to that had a hand in winning this ball game.
The Celtics take Game 1 of the 2022 NBA Finals.
It's time now for the main attraction, and we are just minutes away from Game 2 between the Celtics and Warriors. And here now, our guys on the beat. We got Tim Bontemps and Ohm Youngmisuk to finish strong here as we're heading in to Game 2 of the NBA Finals. I want to start things off, guys, with a little game, and it's called Guess the Stats, which I think is all in your head anyway. So I'm going to test you. All right. Here's the first stat. 4 points, 2 of 12 from the field, 11 rebounds, 6 fouls. Who is that player?
Home knows. 2 for 12. What was it again?
4 points, 2 for 12.
He went to Michigan State, Home.
6 fouls.
He went to Michigan State.
Draymond Green?
Reveal it. I don't actually know how this game works. There we go. Next player. 4 of 4 from the field, 6 rebounds, 4 blocks.
Robert Williams.
Ooh, you're just too good.
I mean, I know the box score.
But still, come on, Robert
There's
Williams.
only one game to know.
All right, you're too fast for our graphics.
All right, sorry.
Oh, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, 24 minutes.
12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 steals. I'm going to say that, 12 minutes, 24 minutes. Man, I don't know.
I don't know. Do you know box score?
Andrew Wiggins. No, Andrew Wiggins played more minutes. I'm wrong.
Reveal.
Yeah, reveal it.
Otto Porter.
Yes. That was a tough one.
I would have not. 24 minutes. Jeez.
Tough one.
Player 4, 15 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds.
These are some random stats.
I know. This is the whole point of the game. I can't believe we've stumped you guys. You have to be inside the box
I'm going to guess Andrew Wiggins again for that one.
Okay.
I think he had more
Reveal.
points.
Klay Thompson.
Klay. There you go.
See, that's how, this game 1 was so surprising in so many ways. Last one, 24 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists.
I'm going to say...
Who scored 24
points?
Who scored the most points? You
It
got
wasn't
it?
that Horford.
Jaylen Brown?
Jaylen Brown?
There you go.
Okay. I don't know who won, but it just proved the point that, not a lot made sense in Game 1.
The only stat that mattered was 48 to 18 that Boston dropped on Golden State.
There you go.
Fourth quarter. That's right.
And 9 of 12 3-pointers in the fourth quarter.
Okay, so you have been with this Warriors team throughout this playoff run. We keep bringing up the fact that the faces the Warriors had in that fourth quarter, they looked stunned.
Yes.
Is that what you observed as well?
What I didn't like was that they didn't respond at all. This was a team that talked about waiting for 3 years to get back onto this stage. Draymond Green told me how brutal it was for the 2 years when they were losing 50 games and all the injuries, and then they don't respond when that 48 to 18 avalanche hit them. Not even a little bit of fight back, and I didn't like that. But what they said the last couple of days, I like what I heard. Desperation, that we had to be accountable, and that it is a come-to-Jesus moment, as Steph Curry said. And I said, does this qualify as a come-to-Jesus moment? He said, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Whew. So, are you concerned?
I am concerned, but I do think that while the Warriors mess around a lot, and they've shown that in the playoffs. Game 5, falling behind by 55 in Memphis. They have responded that next game. But we haven't seen this crew, Andrew Wiggins, Otto Porter Jr. in the first finals, Jordan Poole. We haven't seen how they're going to respond yet. They have to respond tonight, and so we're going to see.
And so just a bit of news. No Andre Iguodala.
No Andre Iguodala. His knee swelled up yesterday, according to Steve Kerr. That paves the way now for Gary Payton II to come in, play some defense, but we don't know if he's going to be able to shoot. If I'm Boston, I am backing off of him and let him shoot, because I don't even know if he can lift his left arm up.
Well, and if I'm Golden State, I'm putting Gary Payton Jr. on Jaylen Brown every second he's on the court. We've seen Jaylen struggle with his ball handling at times in these playoffs. Gary Payton has the ability to maybe take it right off of Jaylen. You saw at the start of that fourth quarter that Ohm referenced. The Celtics got going because Jaylen Brown got whatever he wanted. Gary Payton Jr. might be the kind of guy that could come in and make a huge difference in a small role.
So you called the Celtics winning this series at the jump.
I did.
So did game 1 surprise you in any way?
I mean, 40-16 in the fourth quarter was surprising, right? But the rest of it, to me, sort of went with what I expected. Boston's size and physicality really impacted Golden State as that game went on. I think it's going to be a tough Jordan Poole series. You know, he struggled in game 1. It was his first NBA Finals game. Golden State's going to have to find ways to get him more space on the court when Steph Curry's not out there, because it was clearly not working with how they did in game 1. But other than that, I think if you're looking at positives for Golden State, Boston has struggled in the third quarter throughout the playoffs. Golden State has historically destroyed teams in the third quarter. That happened in game 1. So, to me, going into this game, that's going to be critical every game in the series. Can the Celtics improve in those third quarters and not find themselves down 14, 15 points after?
What did you read into Jayson Tatum's game 1 performance? Were you more praising his passing ability, or were you concerned about his shooting?
I mean, Jayson Tatum's had some weird shooting slumps in these playoffs. He's bounced back every time with huge games. I expect him to score a lot of points tonight. He's actually scored 20 more points than he did the game before the 2 games he shot this bad already. I think he'll have a huge game tonight. To me, Jayson Tatum's passing was more indicative of what the Golden State Warriors are doing on defense.
Yeah.
They were just letting Derrick White and Al Horford and Marcus Smart get practice threes, and we're not respecting them at all. And I know Draymond got up there after the game and said, oh, yeah, you know, these guys all aren't going to hit these kind of shots. Well, if you give NBA players who are decent shooters practice threes, they're going to make them. So, to me, Golden State has to be way more locked in at that end, because to me, I want Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown to be scorers. If they're passers, Boston's way better.
I took Tatum's passing as more problematic for Golden State. They're not going to hold Jayson Tatum to 3 for 17 every game. The passing, though, is what they kind of want to force him into, and if he's going to keep racking up those kind of assists, that means everybody else is making those kind of shots. That is problematic for Golden State.
So, in being around the Warriors and hearing what they are saying in practice and post-game, who is the most concerning player right now? Is it Jordan Poole? Is it Draymond Green? Is it Klay Thompson? Who right now do you feel like this team needs way more from?
I think they can survive another subpar game from Jordan Poole. It's Draymond Green.
Draymond Green, 100%.
He is the heart and soul of this team. He is the guy that if he plays aggressive, if he even hits shots, that's a bonus. But really, it's about his spirit. It's about his soul kind of getting into this team. If he sparks them on defense, he's getting stops. They feed off of that. And, of course, he's freeing up all the shooters. It's Draymond Green to me.
No question. Draymond Green was out to lunch on defense in game 1. It allowed Boston shooters to get going in that first quarter. And Boston has the ability to guard the Golden State guys on the perimeter in ways no other team really can. So they can sag off of Draymond. And that clearly got in his head on the offensive end of the court. He was jacking threes. He was trying to do too much. He needs to play within himself and be way better on defense for them to win.
He has spent the last 48 hours, I am sure of it, stewing over his game 1. And he's been hearing it, and I'm sure he's been registering.
And he's been talking about it on his podcast.
He's been talking about it in the pod all over the place.
Are you a believer in the Derrick White baby boom?
You have to be. This is Fred VanVleet all over again.
Yes.
Same team, same situation.
Oh,
Guy comes back.
Wait. We have a Deuce sighting. I just see it pointed out.
Deuce out here helping his dad stretch with his trainer, Nick, like always.
I almost didn't see him in the fatigue.
Is he wearing camouflage? Yes, he is wearing camouflage.
He'll be ready to go.
So you believe in Derrick White?
I do. Derrick White has changed the Celtics since he came back from having that kid. He was terrible at the beginning of that series against the Miami Heat. He came back and said, I need to be way more aggressive going forward. He has been their best player since Game 4 of the conference finals. He keeps playing like this. He, to me, is a huge X factor for them in this series, because when he comes off the bench and shoots the way he does, it really changes their game. And he's able to guard Steph on the perimeter, too, in ways that they don't have a lot of other guys.
Cass, I know my math is bad, but so all NBA players should start having a baby 9 months in advance, around October or so.
Just get on
October?
it.
That part.
So that they can have a baby come June.
There we go.
That's the secret.
It's a proven fact.
Proven stat.
As we're winding down here, guys, what do you think happens in Game 2?
Warriors, if they don't win tonight, I think the series is over for them. They're not going to win 2 games in Boston. I just don't see it. As good as they are, here's a little stat for you, and I think they know this in the back of their head. They have won a road game in 26 straight postseason series. That's a record, but they got to get tonight.
The Celtics have struggled with prosperity the entire playoffs. The Warriors always bounce back. I think the Celtics struggle tonight. I think Golden State wins.
We will see. Tune in to Game 2. Warriors Celtics coming up on ABC, and you can watch live on the go via the ESPN app. Just log into your cable providers now. Thank you for watching Hoop Streams presented by DoorDash. We're back Wednesday live from Boston for Game 3. Enjoy the game. Thanks for watching.